our customers needed a way to close their events or expos without losing data. That was kind of important. What was another good reason? Well, they needed to clean up their open event windows. I'd go into a client and they had all of these open events. And they had these open events because I told them, don't ever close your events, because when you close your events, you lose all of the order detail, and it makes it very hard to do reporting off of past menus. So they had this big mess of an open events window. And then finally, one of our more recent changes is the ability to create additional CEU, CME, CPE records with the date of the function, not the date you're closing the meeting. And you need to be able to do it on the fly multiple times. So as test results come in from a class or something fun like that, you need to be able to close the meeting multiple times. And you can do that now with Meeting Closer, which is really cool. It also allows you to close events as well as expos, right? So we're using the term events and meetings interchangeably. ASI is moving over to events. They use the term events overseas almost explicitly. You need to be able to reopen events. You need to, we talked about decluttering your open window and creating the CMEs. So how did we do it? Well, we mimicked the IMUS code to create the event functions, function activities, the event activities, as well as the ability to create CU, CME, CPEs, and speaker activities. So we did all that. We gave you the ability to hide the data, and we do that by moving the data out of the Meet Master table into a backup table. And then finally, we created a union, a view, if you will, a union view that has both your open and closed meetings. So if you wanted to do some custom reporting, you can do that. We'll talk about that right near the end as well. And finally, third reminder, you make the CEUs, CMEs, and CPs with the correct date. That's the date of the function. If I take the test on October 8th, that's when the function date should be, not December 9th. Okay, so let's look at Meeting Closer. I thought the best way to show it would be to show you how a regular user might look at it. And so our NIAG San Antonio conference is over. We need to close it. It's time to close it. We need to generate some activities for anybody that went to the event. We need to generate activities for certain functions. So we need to generate a function activity for anybody that went to the full day Crystal training. We need to generate a activity for SSRS training. And then if you went on the Alamo tour, I'd like to know about that too. Let's make an activity there too. And we actually had some CEUs for the SSRS training class. So let's go ahead and generate those for everyone that we have test results back for. All right, so let's go do it. I think the best way to start this is I'm going to go ahead and be very prepared and have my IMUS running, which I did not, so you can go ahead and add that to your comment card. I'm going to jump into IMUS here, and I'm going to show you my event that I need to close in IMUS. So we're going to jump over to events, and let's look at the event that we're going to be closing. We're actually closing our 13th annual NIAG San Antonio conference that happened last month. So let's look at that. We have 4 functions. We have our main registration. Notice we're not going to create activity detail for that. This is a cool little feature that we added to Meeting Closer a couple years ago. You can actually tell it to read from IMUS for which functions you want an activity for. Here's our Crystal training full day, and we can see we are actually going to create activities for that. And the reason I don't want to create a function activity for main is I'm going to have one for the event registration anyway. Here's our SSRS training. And we can go down here and we can actually look at this and look at our CEUs. And we can see that we've actually done Terry Boone and it looks like Marcy Farmhaven have actually submitted their test. So we're going to give them the credits that they deserve, but no one else has. So we're going to close that. And then finally is our Alamo tour. And we're going to also generate detail activity for that as well. So that's kind of what our event looks like in IMUS and what we want to do. So let's go ahead and fire up Meeting Closer, okay? All of our products, when they install, you install them onto your workstation, not your server. Not all of our products, but at least Meeting Closer. They all end up under this wonderful CSI programs. And then we jump down to Meeting Closer, where we have this interesting thing called a user guide that I'm pretty sure no one has ever read. And then we have our program. So I'm going to log in as a user that has the ability to close events. It dials into my database. It pulls it right up, and now we can see everything that's going on in my IMUS database. okay? The first thing we might notice is I might have some other events out here that are closed, like this NIAG Summer Conference. So actually what I'm going to do, besides cleaning up this background screen, let's close this up a little so it looks pretty. I'm going to go ahead and say, just show me my active events only. So that's a quick little way to hide any closed events that you still are showing in IMIS. So that's a cool little feature that you can do there as well. The other interesting thing you can do is we have this cool search stuff. I'm actually disabling my search, but I can go in here and hit search. I can type a meeting code that I'm looking for. So you saw NIAG in there, and I hit apply. It's now found any event that starts with NIAG. I could go in there and actually change it to a meeting title as well, so annual or something like that. And I can even do a date. And this is designed so that you can, I'm going to go out and disable the filter, so that you can go ahead and clean up this window rather than scroll through 1,000 meetings. I do want to talk real quick that you can, the first time you install Meeting Closer, you can go and close multiple meetings at once. In fact, we once had a client say that it took longer to install Meeting Closer, which by the way wasn't long, than it did to close 100 meetings. So you can go in here and highlight 100 meetings and close them all at once if you want. All right, so we're going to move on down here to my NIAG San Antonio. And let's talk about the options I have selected. First, I'm going to generate a meeting activity. That's what IMIS calls it when you close an event. And I want a meeting activity for anybody that went to this meeting. I want to generate function activities as well. I want to generate speaker activities, so if you have the speaker module and you're tracking speaker results. Move to hidden meetings. That means hide it from IMIS. I'm not ready to do that yet because I still have some CEUs that are coming in. And I do want to generate the CEUs that I know about now, and I want to use the date of the event or function for those CEUs. If you would prefer to have the date be today, you can simply uncheck that. Well, now what functions do I want an activity for? So I jump over to function activities, and it says, well, how about everything, Doug? Doesn't that sound great? And then this is the cool thing we added. Only include functions with the create detail activity option selected in IMIS. I can select that. It knows I don't want a main registration now, but it knows I want an activity for these other ones. So very powerful. I could also go in here and manually include or exclude, do anything like that. As I hit return, I'm warned that I am excluding some activities. So I'm not creating an activity for the main function. Sounds great. Let's close it. Sure you want to close it? Yep. It's done. All right. So now, if we go back into IMIS and we go and we look up, say, Marcy Farmhaven, we look at her record, we can actually see the activities that were created. There's my tour activity, there's the CEU for the SSRS training, there's the event activity, and looks like she went to, oh, there's the function activity for the SSRS training. So we've got all those activities in there. Good news is we just got 2 new test results in. So we're going to talk about that in 1 second here. So back to our cool little PowerPoint. Sorry. So there we go. We've done that. We talked about, hey, wait a minute. 2 new attendance records just came in. Uh-oh. So we just got this, and normally in the old days, you'd be like, I already closed the meeting. I have to manually add those CEUs. But the good news is we have Meeting Closer, and since we didn't hide the event, I don't even need to reopen it. I just need to go in and update the attendance and close the event again. It's pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and do it. So I'm calling it at this point. If they haven't given us their test results, that's fine. They're done. So let's go in and define the event. Let's go find the NIAG San Antonio. Notice it's closed now. Let's edit our SSRS training. Let's look at my CEUs, and let's update the attendance. So we're going to go now and say that Ellen has gone there, so she's gone, and we'll say that, oh, I like John Colby. He's gone as well, but we never heard from Doug Hunt, okay? So life's gone, great. I've done it. Everything's wonderful. I've updated the attendance. Let's go ahead now and close the event again. So I actually still have Meeting Closer running. Here it is, right up here in the system, in the thing. It's closed, and I'm just going to go ahead and say close hide meeting again. But wait a minute, I don't want to close it yet because I'm done with it. I don't want to see it in IMIS anymore. I'm going to move it to hidden meetings. So let's close hide meeting. Done. It's now down here. These are my hidden meetings. And when we go back to IMIS, one of the interesting things we see is that it's no longer listed here. It's gone. That's great. And if I go over to Ellen's record, who just went to the event, right? Let's see her. Ellis is her last name. Pull up. There it is. She's got the CEU for going to SSRS training. So I'm able to create that. Same sort of feature functionality applies with functions as well as events. So I could go back to the event. I could mark it active. I could add another registrant and reclose the event. So it's not just with CEUs. It works with functions. It works with events. It will not delete something that's already been created, but it will add something that has not been created. Okay? All right. So that's pretty cool stuff. So back to our PowerPoint. A year has passed, and you're not going to believe this. We're doing the exact same event again. Kind of reminds you of NIAG. Sorry, I'm on the program committee. That was a ding against myself, just so you know. We forgot to clone it. And the person that does our events goes in there, and she or he flips out because the event is missing from IMIS, and they forgot to clone it. So we're going to show it for cloning using Meeting Closer. We're going to clone it, and then we're going to reclose it and hide it. So what's that look like? Back to Meeting Closer. Down here, it's closed, it's hidden. Show for cloning. We don't say reopen because it doesn't make the meeting active. All it does is put it right back in IMIS so that if I go to events, define an event, and there it is, it's right back. I can now go ahead and clone that event, do whatever I need to, and when I'm done, I can just say close, hide it again, and it's gone. It is now gone from IMIS again. So you can clean up your event window, you can bring it back, anything you might need to do. Very cool stuff. All right, so what have we added that you might not have known about? If you've noticed, the interface has been cleaned up a little bit, which is kind of nice. We've improved the activity handling. That's the ability to close multiple times that I talked about and add new functions, events, or CEUs. You can filter on functions, basically that create activity detail option. So if that option is checked in IMIS, I can choose that option in Meeting Closer, and it'll automatically create the appropriate functions. We added the event type when filtering, so you can now actually filter not only between expos and events, but you can filter by code in there. A lot of people are moving away from using the SA password. When you're installing Meeting Closer, you used to have to enter your SA password. That became a challenge for a lot of clients. The new version does not require that. You can enter what's known as an SA equivalent and go from there. So here's some important stuff. Please, 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 please remember, never reuse an event or a meeting code. If you do that, Meeting Closer, because you've hid it in IMIS, doesn't know about it until you fire up Meeting Closer. And then the minute you go into Meeting Closer, you're going to get a wonderful little message that looks like this. Basically, it says, hey, I've noticed you've used this meeting code twice. One, you closed the event and hid it, and then someone went in and used it again. That's bad. As long as you don't have any registrants in the database, that's a lot easier to fix. But if you have registrants in the old code and the new code, that's a little harder to fix. Go ahead and contact CSI support, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, and we'll help you get through that. And then you can go beat up the person that did that. All right? Okay, so more important stuff. If you use the purge script in IMIS, and that's the utilities SQL purge, you're going to want to update it. And if you look in our manual, it's going to talk about what the changes are there. Once again, the manual, pretty straightforward here. It's down here. You go to CSI Programs. You go to Meeting Closer. You go to the User Guide. And then you could do something real quick like type in purge. Okay, how about, purge. Thanks. Where's my staff here showing me that I'm mistyping? And basically, this talks about the fact that Meeting Closer does not erase data from the orders table. And so people that attended events that have been closed with Meeting Closer and hidden, they won't be purged from IMIS if you mark them for deletion. So this talks about a change you can make to purge those people if you want. As always, they won't be purged if they still have a balance. And there's some things to think about. You know, do you want to actually purge someone and then reopen an event where they no longer exist? So this is important. Take a look at that and read about it. Decide if it makes sense for you to do or not. If you hide a meeting or event, it disables the built-in IMIS reporting. In the manual, we show you how to create custom reports on closed/hidden events. If you don't hide the event, if you leave it in the IMIS window showing, all of your reports will work just fine. But if you choose to hide the event from IMIS, it can no longer report on it. Okay, Meeting Closer is very strict about activity flowdown being set up correctly. Many of you, your solution provider started with a base core IMIS setup database that actually was slightly corrupt. It had some bad activity mapping in the event setup for IMIS. And when you go to close an event in IMIS, IMIS just says, that's no good, and it ignores that. Meeting Closer actually says, oh, wait a minute, you need to fix this. This is not good. And so some of the errors might look like this. In this case, someone has mapped orders.order number to a date field. And by the way, what I'm talking about is the ability to make your activities, your meeting activities, have more data from the orders table. This isn't as important as it used to be now that Meeting Closer doesn't erase data. But if you do something crazy like this, try and put the order number in a date field, it's going to tell you, hey, you can't do that. I can't put a date into the order number, okay? Another example is this. Here I'm saying put the major key into this character field, and that's not good either. The only valid fields are fields from Meetmaster, Order Meet, or Orders. Those are the only ones that can be allowed in here. So that's just an IMIS restriction. You get that, and if you're confused on what it means or whatever, feel free to email support. Okay, hopefully you saw some cool stuff, and hopefully it looked a little different than what you're used to. So you probably are like, I got to have this, Doug. This is cool. And if you want to do the recreating of CEUs or functions or anything, I highly encourage you to get the latest version, which is 4.2.19. And when you go to your login screen, you will see what version you're using. Alternatively, if you've flown right past that and logged in, if you go to Help About in Meeting Closer, you will see the version there as well. So that'll tell you what version you're on. And you go, oops, I'm not on the latest version. Well, all you got to do is go to our website, and then up here in the upper right-hand corner, you got a little login button. You click that, or a link. You click that, and you probably are going to be prompted with a username and password that we're positive you've forgotten. In that case, go ahead and just email sales@csiinc.com and say, I forgot my login. By the way, your login came when you got your license key from Meeting Closer. Katie and Zach love answering these emails, so just tell them Doug sent you, okay? Once you get logged in, you're going to scroll down to our current product releases, and there you're going to see all of the products you own. If you are missing a product, then you probably have forgotten to pay your software update fee. We're happy to take that as a credit card over the phone. Just give us a ring. Once you click on current releases, you will see Meeting Closer, and you will see the latest release. I will also mention that if you follow us on Facebook, we do a post to our page, Computer System Innovations, every time we release one of our new products. So if you want to be notified whenever something new comes out, go ahead and just follow us on Facebook. And and Zach wants to point out Twitter as well, but I don't use Twitter, so whatever. Sorry, but Twitter as well, we do tweet that we release a new version as well if you're not stuck in the 80s like me and still on Facebook. Once you click on that, you're going to download it and save it. You can just open it or download and save. I like to save it somewhere on the computer that you're going to remember. I have an Erase Me directory on my computer. It's stuff that I know I can erase at any time, and so I just save all of my program installs there, and then I can just clean up that directory if I run low on space or I'm bored on a rainy day. So there's a little tip. Save it out to your Erase Me directory. Next, very important, you're going to have a little setup. Right mouse click and run that as administrator. That basically makes sure the product's going to install right. It's not a must do, but it's a really, really, really should do. Very important, right mouse click, run as admin. Okay, things you're going to need. If you haven't updated in a while, it's going to need your SA password or an equivalent username and password. That's not going to be a password that you use in IMIS. So if you don't know what an SA password is, or you don't know what your SA password is, or you don't know what an equivalent one is, you're going to need to go ahead and find someone at your organization that knows what those things are. So that's important. And the other thing is you're going to need your license key if you're installing it for the first time at your organization. That's on the email that you got that had your login that you probably lost as well. So just email sales@csiinc.com and you will go ahead and get that sent over to you. If you get stuck, I beg you, please, read the manual. We have a full-time manual QA person here at CSI, and she spends a lot of time making sure this manual is correct and has things in it. If you find something that's not in it, please email us. We'll get it added. But we spent a lot of time on this manual in hopes that on that Friday at 8 p.m. when you're installing Meeting Closer, you can actually go to the manual and it'll help you out. But if you're still stuck, then you can go ahead and email support. This is how you get help or how you give us any suggestions you have with the product. However, we ask you to please include as much information as you can about the problem. Please do not send an email to support saying Meeting Closer doesn't work. Because then we're going to have to go back to you and say, can you give us a screenshot of the problem? Because that screenshot speaks 1,000 words. That screenshot might have the version on it, might have other things. We'd also love to know what you have and everything. And there's a little thing called error reporting in Meeting Closer that should be there. And you can turn that on as well and say, I've got error reporting turned on, and tell me what's up. So the more detail you can give us, the better. Screenshots, exactly what you're doing, all that fun stuff. Our turnaround time is about 2 days. So please don't submit an issue on Monday at 8 a.m. and then email me directly at 8:30 saying I still haven't heard from support. Because we do have other products, as you saw, and we do have other support issues. We do have 3 full-time people in support, so we do work on this stuff. We actually, they're not, it is their job to answer questions. So, but we ask for at least 2 days. I believe they're running right now at about 1 day. But during the holidays, that of course can change. Here's some silly questions that we want to cover. Got a great idea for an enhancement? How do I tell you about it? Remember that support email address. If you email that, it gets put on the product manager or product owner's calendar at the end of the month. It is reviewed. It is decided if we're going to add it. And we base that on a couple things. Does it make sense for the community? Has more than one person asked for it? And of course, how much time is this going to take? So a really cool enhancement that's going to take a year to implement, we're probably not going to do unless all of you email us. But a really cool enhancement that we can knock out in half a day, we tend to do those, and that's how Meeting Closer got to where it is. You want to know about other events that we've done like this, and we call events these webinars. We've done 2 other ones now, one for iMerge and one for iEmail. They're very powerful if you want to show your staff iEmail or iMerge. And those are on our website on the webinars link. You can do that URL, or if you go to our website and go to the very bottom and click on webinars, you will see all of our webinars that we've done. And we will be doing one for every product. And that's where you can watch the previous ones. So another option, you can go here to Meeting Closer. It'll give you all the screenshots for Meeting Closer. And then we actually have a product video for Meeting Closer as well, much more sales related, much less here's how you use it. So if you just wanted a different take on that. I think these webinars are much better because they provide kind of a real world use case for Meeting Closer. And so hopefully it made sense. We're going to wrap it up there. Any questions that anybody's had?
So let's go
ahead. What happens if we change the CU? For example, we marked someone as attended. That was a mistake. Does Meeting Closer delete CU? No. Meeting Closer does not delete anything. It will only add. So if a CEU was done by mistake, you will need to go to that person's activity record and delete it. And does Meeting Closer show the database name it is currently using? That should be in the help about, or we added it recently. No, it does not. Oh, it does tell you, yes, oh, there's the database that it's running. It doesn't tell you what the database name is. Nope, but I think that's on the enhancement request. I can't believe that actually wasn't added yet. Let's go ahead and just double check that. Our new login screen that's coming out in one of the next releases will actually show you the database name, but here's the URL that you're getting into. Any other questions? Let's see. I added the request years ago. Well, be patient. Jeff, you better hope that's not you. I'm going to kick your you-know-what. Do we need to uninstall the old version before installing the latest version? No, you should not have to. You should be able to install the latest version of Meeting Closer, and it will replace whatever you have in there. I will say that there were some early versions of Meeting Closer where it didn't like that, and you had to be careful of that. The other thing I'll say, if you were on 10.6, this is very important. I believe the highest version of Meeting Closer you can go to is 3.7. Version 4 requires IMAS 15 or higher. So very important caveat there. All right, I'm not seeing too many other questions here. Once again, we'll have most of this, since we started the recording just a little late, most of this will be online. We're doing another one of these at 5 p.m. tonight. If you think a coworker would like to see it, go ahead and just email sales@csinc.com and ask to get an invite to the 5 p.m. one tonight. We're doing that because there's a lot of people that use this product over in Australia, and so we do a late night one on those kind of things. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of the week and a great holiday season.